Okay? A real preacher is supposed to be a humanitarian. And if you know what a humanitarian is, then you'll bear me witness. So to all these preachers that's passing these receptacles around and getting all these tithes, and the church need this every 5 minutes, but if a sister is struggling, don't have money to get her baby no Pampers, the preacher can't give her nothing on that Sunday. What's going on? It is because your preacher is being a pimp nowadays, and he is pimping the whole congregation. If this ain't you, no, don't be offended. But we got to deal with this. You got preachers raping and molesting children in the church nowadays. Ain't that right? So if you have a child molesting preacher and they went to a supposed school, this means that school didn't handle things properly. This also means that school approved of this, because it ain't do no proper background search on this preacher. Okay? Now it's a little girl or a little boy suffering because a proper background check wasn't done on this so-called preacher, brothers and sisters. I want to read some scriptures out of the King James Version of the Bible that proves that, God know about what you're doing. But in this particular scripture, this is directed to the rulers of this world who got you, doing what you doing in your church. And this is in Revelations, chapter 1, verse 9. And it reads, I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. The 10th verse say, Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be you faithful unto death, and I will give thee crown of life. Let he that hath ear hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. And he that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. Now, brothers and sisters, that was Allah letting the Illuminati know that he knows what they're doing. And he is letting them know, if you've ever worked at a restaurant, did you notice at the end of the night, that restaurant usually throw away enough food to feed enough homeless people for a few days? These are that people. Those owners are a part of those people. Because if those owners had the spirit of Allah in them, they would conserve that food and distribute it to the homeless. So look at what he said. I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, meaning you cause it, but you rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So if you throwing away all this food, you're a part of that. You're a part of this group. Who taught you how to be wasteful? Who taught you how to be a pimp in your church? Okay. They stay from Revelations, they stay keeping preaching on about what went on in the Old Testament. Look, man, the people need FPP, wisdom. The wisdom of fasting, prayer, and paying attention. Now, why you have paying attention, brother? Because you need to preach on the judgment. You don't need to be having the people worrying about what happened in the Old Testament. They need to know what's going on right now. So they taught you to teach it backwards. We're not living in the Old Testament, okay? The Old Testament is living now. Sodom and Gomorrah is happening now in America, okay? You see homosexuality at all-time high. Please, don't try to keep the coal in your eyes. You might as well remove it, okay? You know. You just have been so blind that you're overlooking it, and it make you think that it's okay because the devil created this world and he has made evil fair seeming. So today, preachers in the church are pimping their congregation because that's fair seeming today. A sister broke down in the hot sun walking with her children, and he in the Jaguar ride right past her. How you doing, sister? Said, all right, see you next Sunday. What the hell is that? That's not a humanitarian. That's a pimp. Don't want a pimp get tired of a chick? He just, after he got his money, drop off and, I'll see you later. That's a pimp. It's not a humanitarian. Any man of God, anybody who is striving to do the will of God should be a humanitarian spirit. In spirit. Because that's Allah. He's a humanitarian, okay? He's concerned about all the well-being of everything that creep and crawl under his feet, okay? And that was to one of the churches, because but this was pertaining to their churches. But like I said, they sunk down doctrines that had to be followed in a particular way. And he's talking to another church in verse 12 that their children are involved in, and he tells them in 13, I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein was my faithful Mary, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. That's America, brothers and sisters, because this is where Satan dwelling, okay? Now, Satan, you need to pay attention to what God told you. He know where your seat is. And yours, preachers who are not leading the people into the right knowledge of being more aware of the judgment than the Old Testament. You are misguiding the people. You need to be teaching them of the warnings of Revelations so that they can have the spirit to want to be prepared, to start straightening up their lives and make proper planning and necessary changes to help out their lives so that they can be pleasing in their ways, if they are mindful, to Allah, for a right to be able to be saved. So when you're not teaching them of the time of the judgment, they're still thinking the judgment is a long time away. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. You are living in it right now. This is why Allah blessed me to do this show. to expose and help these preachers out if they mindful, and if you ain't been consumed by these fiat notes to save yourself. I feel sorry for you. If you don't, you will suffer the consequences of the beast, the dragon, and the devil, and Satan, which is that lake of fire that he promised and intends to put the wicked in, regardless of to what you believe. If that is your nationality when he comes, well, guess what? You will go, because you don't control nothing. You think you do, brothers and sisters. So, to my black brothers or sisters who might be preaching, I want you to pay attention to this wisdom, because Allah intends for you to understand that if this is what you're doing, then you need to change your methodology. You need to change your whole setup on how you do things, okay? And you need to preach more of the judgment of Revelations, and you need to study on the scriptures of Revelations so that you can try to explain it to the people to show them the seriousness of the condition of what God is going to allow to come into existence. Because the people have been consumed in this modern Sodom and Gomorrah. This mystery Babylon is America. She is the whore, okay, that sat on the dragon in the scriptures. She is the only country represented by a woman, so it should not be that difficult. He sent saviors to explain this wisdom. But the wisdom that I'm sharing with you, I thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being taught the secrets of the parables, so we can help y'all out in seeing that what we're speaking on is the truth of the coming of Allah and the attributes of the judgments that he bringing, because you need to be aware of them. You need to stop worrying about, what happened, with Moses 4,000 years ago, about the dang 10 Commandments. Okay, first and foremost, those were their laws. We just got caught up in them because we started following their way of life. Okay? That's the first deception. This is why he told them, I know your tribulations and your works. What works? The stuff they did to deceive us. Okay? He knows it. So, pastors, preachers, whatever you want to title yourself, if you're not preaching of the judgment, then you're not properly educating the people of the time and the coming of God. I'm sorry, no disrespect. Some might be like, man, yeah, how you going to have the right to tell me that I've been a preacher for 30 years? If you're not preaching of the judgment, I'm sorry, you're misleading the people, because we're in it. And right now, your duty is to try to get throw the life jacket out there for the people to start getting prepared to think and consider about, hey, man, maybe I do need to stop doing what I've been doing. Because if I don't, there's a possibility I can go to hell. Okay? So if you're not trying to teach them to liberate themselves and others, because you have to want for your brother what you want for yourself. That's a humanitarian. So if you're a preacher and you're not preaching humanitarian stuff, then I'm sorry, you're misleading the people. No disrespect. So brothers and sisters, I hope this little show, open your eyes to pay attention more to your preachers or your pastors. And if they're not on their humanitarian job as a servant supposed to be